I feel that, if you're not an expert in something, AI will make you probably 2 to 3 times better than you currently are. If you are an expert in something, AI will make you 10x better. As far as if you're already a domain expert, using AI, like I said, will make you 10x better. And those are the ones that you should be hiring, paying outpaced salaries to, and build your tiny team. So, for instance, if I'm I want to use AI in real estate, I could do it, but guy who's been a real estate agent for 30 years will do a hell of a lot better if he understands how to prompt and context engineer and all of that. He'll be able to utilize AI much better than me for real estate. You have your domain experts, and you're paying them outsized salaries because they're utilizing AI and producing 5-6 times more than they could without it. And then you're bringing on virtual employees who are doing things like the writing of the blogs, or whatever it happens to be that you want to do.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Practical Founders Podcast, where every week we hear an amazing story from a serious founder who built a valuable software company and did it without big funding. I'm your host, Greg Head, and this week my guest is Vincent Serpico, the founder of Founders Workshop, a very experienced software developer, former CTO, ran a big development agency that helped practical founders build software apps, over 200 apps, and he's on the front lines of the AI revolution and mainlining it. I've known Vincent for over 20 years. He spoke at our last 2 Practical Founders Summits about the AI revolution that was in the works last year, and really what has progressed and what's practical this year to make a massive difference inside your business, inside your product development, leveraging AI tools, technologies, and approaches. It's not all hype, but there's some real results in here. And there's some real ways to figure out how to get to those practical results. We talk about that today, and we visit what has changed even since a month ago from Practical Founders Summit that makes this AI revolution so exciting for practical founders. Hey, Vincent, welcome to the Practical Founders Podcast.
Thanks for having me on, Greg. Very excited.
Yeah, it's great to see you again. It was just a month and a half. You were in Phoenix at our Practical Founders Summit, and you spent the day with us talking about where AI is practical, where it's going, and we had a very wide-ranging discussion about all aspects of AI. Really appreciate that. Everybody loved it. Thank you for that. We'll kind of recap some of that stuff today. And you kept saying AI is changing every day, and you're spending full time keeping up with it. What has changed, since we last talked, Vincent, in AI?
Alrighty. So what has changed in AI since we last talked? I'm going to go over a list. It's not exhaustive, and it's not in
any... you already have a list. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Let's go over a list. It's not exhaustive, and it's not in any particular order. And please feel free to just stop me at any time to talk about it. First of all, OpenAI released Sora 2. Sora 2 and Sora 2 Pro are now considered the absolute hands down best video generators out there. They are so incredibly real, you cannot tell the difference. I mean, when Veo 3 from Google came out, a few months ago, everyone thought that, and now Sora 2 is blowing that out of the water. But there's more to Sora 2 than that, and people should understand where this is headed. Sora 2 will also be coming with an app called Sora. And the idea behind the Sora app is that you can publish videos on the Sora app like a social media network, or if you want to give the your likeness and your voice out there, anybody can take it and substitute you inside of a movie, like a cameo. They call it cameo. So let's say there's a cool scene in Game of Thrones and you want to go ahead and substitute Greg as one of the kings. Well, you can do that in Sora. Sora is going to have the ability to share short videos, and it's going to be a new social media type of application. Yeah.
So that's at the conference, we had a little discussion about video. A lot of people are using video in the business. And you said Veo 3 was the coolest thing. And you keep saying you got to spend almost full time keeping up with this stuff. And it just literally changed. Isn't that amazing? And it's really practical. You can start to really use this stuff. What else is moving around here? Let's just get a few more and then we'll get into our discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, advertisers and marketers should really be looking at Sora 2 because you can do full-fledged marketing videos with product and everything with no actors. Okay. Alrighty, the next thing is the apps in ChatGPT. This is pretty amazing. So let's talk about what apps in ChatGPT might look like, okay? A couple examples. First of all, let's say I want to take a Coursera course, right? Well, if I want to take a Coursera course today, what do? I just go to Coursera, I take the course. If there's something I don't understand, I might try to download a transcript or have ChatGPT transcribe it and then dump that into ChatGPT and then ask ChatGPT, I don't understand this. But with apps, you can watch your Coursera video inside of ChatGPT, and at any time you can pause it and say, can you explain that a little bit more to me, ChatGPT? And it will. Or for instance, you want to use Canva to create a logo. Well, you can chat with ChatGPT about your new business, right? And let's say you want to open a lemonade stand, right? So you're chatting about lemonade stand, the business plan and everything. And then just right there, you say, hey, I'd like you to create me a logo. Okay, great. It'll go to Canva. It'll create the logo for you. You can choose the logo and then continue on. So apps inside of ChatGPT means that application developers are exposing via the MCP servers, which is the way that they communicate the essence of the app to ChatGPT. And the GUI itself is mostly hidden, and ChatGPT just calls it, displays what it needs to call, and you're going to start seeing a lot more of this. It's rolling out with dozens and dozens of partners, and there's going to be a lot more coming soon. This is
And that
something
just happened yesterday, Vincent?
that happened, what's today, Tuesday?
Yeah.
Yeah, it happened yesterday, exactly, yeah.
Okay. Because I know you're on the front lines of all of this, and I really appreciate that and sharing that. So that means it's not just, Canva is integrated. You're literally using English language prompts to create Canva content
That's right.
from inside of ChatGPT without having a Canva interface.
Right, they use agents in the background to do it.
Okay, great. All right, what else is going on here? Like, the world is changing, and thanks for keeping up with
Yeah,
it.
so, as everybody knows, unless you've been living under a rock, agents are transforming the way the businesses do business. Mostly in operations, in the back end, it's helping out tremendously. The leaders right now in agentic workflow are companies like N8N. If you haven't tried N8N, give it a
Yeah,
try. Lindy, Zapier is doing a great job.
yeah.
OpenAI released Agent Kit on Monday. I cannot tell you how excited I am. I mean, it is unbelievable. They have a drag and drop agentic workflow that you can start building. Lindy, N8N, Zapier, they should be concerned. They should be very concerned. But yeah, the agent kit that you can build and deploy an agent right inside of ChatGPT and then share it. Pretty amazing stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's just stop there. I've known you for 20 years, Vincent. We worked together at several startups. You were the technology leader, CTO, and you've been in building products for 30 plus years. And you're just as excited as ever, more excited than ever to do this. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What have you done? What do you do now? And what are you doing around AI that you
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
sure.
Yeah.
So, I actually built my first application when I was 14.
Yeah.
I've been coding since I was 14. I taught myself how to code on a Commodore 64. And, I mean, I've seen a lot of tech revolutions. I've seen a lot of tech revolutions in my lifetime as a developer, and I'd never seen anything quite like what I'm seeing. Literally nothing of what I'm seeing right now. I started Founders Workshop about 15 years ago. We built about 250 software applications for founders and small businesses, SMBs. I was a developer before then for about 10 years or so, rose the ranks to CTO and everything. And currently I am spending my time, well, every single day learning AI. And when I'm not learning AI, I'm out there either doing a workshop for a business or a speaking event for a business. I do have a couple of folks I'm working with as an AI coach, and it's all about AI.
That's right. Well, and I'm excited too to be in the software business as long as I have. This is really a frontier opportunity. It's very excited. I'm glad I'm still in the game and, the flag is up. Here we go. It's really changing fast. But you're on the front lines of all of the technology. And I want to touch on some of the topics we talked about at Practical Founders Summit. We spent out, most of the day talking about these kind of things. We can literally start with the agents. That was one of the focus of your talks. Last year, when you spoke about AI at Practical Founders Summit, agents were kind of new. It wasn't really a big thing yet, but they're practical and useful. And, it's not easy or simple. It's still kind of early days of agents, but really powerful to transform business. So, why don't you give us a few of the high level concepts about agents? Because you're saying agents are here, they're really powerful. What are agents? What's going on in agents right now? And how are practical companies using them to improve their businesses this year?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. Let me answer starting from a high level, if that's okay.
Yeah, great.
So, the first people to use agents are developers. Okay. So, agentic coding, everybody knows about agentic coding. It's called vibe coding, agentic coding, whatever you want to call it. And developers, how to use agents because they want to use agentic coding because you can code 3 to 4 times faster using agentic coding, AI coding. So developers have been using it for a while, a couple of years. But what can agents do for operations? How do you build an agent? So what an agent is, let me describe it with an actual example. The creating a blog is the actual example. Okay.
Okay.
So, Greg, when you want to write a blog, what do? Well, the first thing you do is think about what you want to write about. You
Right.
might see if anybody else wrote about it. You want to think of a good title. You spend a few hours writing your blog and then editing it, assuming you're doing it all yourself. Let's just assume you
Yeah.
do it all yourself. Then you'll find the perfect image for it eventually. You'll put it all together and you'll publish it. And I don't know, about 4 hours, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, about 4 hours. All right. So let's think about what an agent.
We're not a simple blog, like a multi-section, thoughtful, useful, blog.
Yeah, right, exactly. So let's think about what an agentic workflow would look like, and again, anybody can build one of these. So typically, when you work with agentic workflows, you'll be in what's called a drag and drop node flow. You'll drag and drop.
Workflow. Yeah.
What's that?
Like a workflow
Like a
diagram.
visual workflow,
Yeah.
yeah, with nodes connected. So I want to create something to create blogs. So what do? The first thing I do is I'll add a node. It will be a connection to an LLM. And I'll say to it, I want you to go out there and search for what are the trending blogs for software development shops. Okay.
Yeah.
What are the trending blogs for software development shops? Bring that back. I'll then take that answer and I'll put it into the next node. And I'll say, here are the trending blogs. Create me 20 titles for blogs that are along these topics. It'll create those 20 titles, okay? Then I'll send those 20 titles to another LLM one at a time, and I'll say, write me out a blog for this title, okay? Then I'll take that and send it to another node, and it'll be a completely different LLM. And I'll say, review and edit what this other LLM created, and it will review and edit it. And if there's any, typos or stuff, or not typos, but, doesn't make sense here or there, it'll go ahead and edit it. Once it's edited, then I'll take that edited version and I'll send it off to another LLM, let's say like Nano Banana or Flux or something like that. And I'll say, create a few images for this. It'll create a few images. Then I'll send it to another AI to format it nicely. And then finally to a very simple like RPA or something like that to go ahead and publish it. So then I can go ahead and have 20 blogs created, reviewed, edited, formatted, and published in probably the same 4 hours that you wrote your one blog.
Okay, so agents are using the LLMs, and it could be Claude for this and ChatGPT for that, and going back and forth. It's this multi-step process. We might do this manually ourselves, right? To find the thing and
Right.
edit it, and I'll do that and kind of get some title examples for help tell me think about titles, and then I'll post it over here. Then I'll write a paragraph over here and do this. But what you're saying in an agent, it's doing the thoughtful work and double checking and workflow. It's doing the work.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
So
doing
is
all
that the
that work.
difference between just talking to ChatGPT, what are the top 10 ideas, or, having that conversation with an LLM through their chat interface? Is an agent is, a process that you create, with its guardrails and all the specifications, and it does the work for you.
It's labor. It's flat
It's
out
labor.
labor. It's work. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
work. It's an employee, and you can say, all right, and then it just publishes it, and I never see it. Well, you throw a human in the loop before it actually publishes. You have a human read the 20 blogs. Maybe it'll take an hour or two to read all 20 blogs. Let's say you spend all day on this. Okay.
Yeah.
4 hours to write 20 blogs with AI, 4 hours to review. You still got 20 blogs out in 8 hours. Nobody can dispute that you didn't increase efficiency and productivity tremendously.
Right. And as we heard at the Practical Founder Summit, not every founder in the Practical Founder peer groups is using agents and so forth, but there are, 20, 30% that are saying, we're not just good at ChatGPT, we're running processes and workflows in our business, some highly automated, some with lots of human in the loop. And we're doing a lot more with less that's creating higher results. We're growing faster this year without adding so many employees because we're multiplying ourselves. And that's a good example with agentic labor.
Well, I mean, the question should be every time you hire a new employee is why can't AI do this? Prove to me that AI cannot do this and I must hire an employee. I'll bet you that what you do, what everybody does day to day, you look at it and you say, I can replace this with AI. I can replace this with AI. I can replace this with AI. It's a matter of looking at what you do. I use the blog because it's a simple example, but there are many other examples of what you do, Greg, and what everyone else does who's
Yes.
listening that you can replace right now with AI.
Right. And, it's me with my contractors and my help and my team, but I can multiply myself with the LLMs and the speed that it gives me with my human in the loop, and I with agents as well. So I don't necessarily need fewer employees. I, can't get there, but I'll do a lot more next year with this kind of technology. And that multiplier. Is that what Toby was talking about at Shopify? Don't hire anybody unless they're AI savvy, right? And you can prove that it can't be done with AI. Are you really saying that every employee needs to be AI savvy and we should stop hiring for
Oh my
stuff?
God,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Hands
right.
down. I think it was it Accenture? I can't remember. It's one of those large consulting companies. I
Yeah.
think it was Accenture. Announced they're going to be laying off 4,000 people. And the reason why, if you read between the lines, what they said was, look, if you don't embrace AI 100%, you're going to be laid off. And sorry, some of you are not retrainable. So they're letting 4,000 people go. And the ones that are staying are going to be laser focused on using AI. I mean, you
And
have to
that's the big consulting firms, these really smart people doing really complex things that AI can really help them with, right? To process this in their own frameworks and structured ways. So agents is labor. Should we kind of view that as empowering existing employees to be 2 or 3 times more productive, or being like a virtual employee, an agentic employee?
A little of both. So, first of all, I feel that, if you're not an expert in something, AI will make you probably 2 to 3 times better than you currently are. If you are an expert in something, AI will make you 10x better. So, when I say anybody can code, I mean that. I literally mean if you've never coded a line of code in your life, you absolutely 100% can create simple to moderate apps if you know how to prompt and you know how to manage an LLM, which is no different than managing
That's not
an employee.
necessarily simple or easy, but it's not coding, right? You got to figure out what the requirements are and the guardrails, and you have to think,
Yeah,
guide.
you know what? That's a good way. That's interesting, Greg. You could say that being a manager is not simple or easy, but it doesn't require you to learn how to code. But
Right.
right, being a good manager, well, you know what it takes to be a good manager. I say that to be a good manager are the exact skills you need to be a good vibe coder.
Okay. So you have an idea of the goal and the guardrails and the context you got to bring in and do the
And
work
how to
to
go
set
ahead
that up.
and how to provide direction to your
Yeah.
employees. I mean, would you hire
Specific
an
direction.
employee and give him a year's worth of work right on the spot? No.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a great conversation about that at Summit there. And we know that this is drastically affecting businesses of all types. But we're talking to this practical founder audience, tech companies, software businesses who are not solving problems with outside funding. They're solving problems with high productivity. My time turns into revenue better than otherwise. There's a lot of leverage with these kind of tools for people
But you
who.
you, uh, you asked a question though about should we look at this as empowering or new employees? So As far as if you're already a domain expert, using AI, like I said, will make you 10x better. And those are the ones that you should be hiring, paying outpaced salaries to, and build your tiny team.
Is that a domain expert or an AI?
No, 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 a domain expert. So,
Okay.
for instance, if I'm I want to use AI in real estate, I could do it. But a guy who's been a real estate agent for 30 years will do a hell of a lot better if he understands how to prompt and context engineer and all of that. He'll be able to utilize AI much better than me for real estate. So you have your domain experts and you're paying them outsized salaries because they're utilizing AI and producing 5, 6 times more than they could without it. And then you're bringing on virtual employees who are doing things like the writing of the blogs or whatever it happens to be that you want to do. We can talk about 1,000 different use cases.
Right. Well, that's, a lot of practical founders I talk to who are up and running and have, SaaS products and customers revenue, maybe 1 million, maybe 10 million in revenue, maybe get on the field. They're a little scared that, oh my gosh, it's been hard to write our software and get it going. And somebody can write the software very quickly now. What is my advantage? And what you really said is if you really know the domain, if you really know the customers, you really know the problem, you're gonna get there faster than somebody who really doesn't understand it as deeply. Your moat is your domain expertise, your
For sure.
connection to the customer.
Absolutely. In fact, it's really interesting. I've been hearing VCs talking about, I'm sure you've been hearing the same thing too, Greg, is that they're saying it's kind of a relief that anybody can code now because
Yeah.
instead of funding $10 million to these 20-year-old kids who just got out of college and have no industry experience whatsoever, we can actually fund people in their 40s and
Yes.
50s who are domain experts.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Right. Like a year ago, I wasn't sure if, I've been a smart guy trying to, be a wise guy in the game and share this, whether AI was going to just catch up and solve all the problems right away. I don't see it. And now I see I'm going to be AI powered, right? To create a lot more impact through my deep knowledge and connection than, generic AI will be able to do
Yeah.
instead of me. I love that. What else can you say about agents? I guess you said OpenAI is building that workflow, agent workflow. First do this, and if then do that, and chunking things out there. And that's not just like an automation. If then else, no thinking. There's thinking in here. Think about this, reprocess it. If it isn't good enough, double check. Right? All that kind of intelligent thinking, not just simple automation. What else is going on in agents that practical founders either ought to be doing now or thinking about for the future?
Okay, so let's try to envision a world just a year or two from now, okay, where apps are fully inside of ChatGPT. Searches on Google are almost exclusively AI searches, okay? And folks are buying things directly from ChatGPT. So that's a new feature. I don't know if I mentioned it, but that's a new feature that literally
Okay.
just came out. And why would people want to buy stuff from ChatGPT? Okay, well, this is a pretty simple answer, okay? I'm out there looking for a new pair of shoes, okay? I go to Google, I search Google, I go to Amazon, I search Amazon, and then Greg says to me, "Oh my God, I've been wearing these shoes for 3 years. They're amazing, Vincent. Go buy them." Well, if Greg tells me that, I'm gonna go buy these in a heartbeat. Okay, so now we look at AI. Unfortunately, some people have been literally committed to mental institutions for AI psychosis. And why is that? Because they're really getting into the AI, they're personifying it, and they're treating it like a conscious
Right.
being.
Yeah. Mhm.
So when somebody like that tells you to go ahead and buy a pair of shoes or a vitamin supplement, and by the way, I can go ahead and
Oh,
order it for you. What
yeah.
do you think? How do you think that's going to change commerce?
Yeah. My wife and I do a fair bit of travel, and we have, bookcase full of travel books. I'm not buying any more travel books because all the LLMs can write me a custom book if I prompt it correctly
That's
for
right.
exactly what I want, exactly what I need. And I can imagine all the booking I would do. You want to book that hotel, you want to book that custom tour that doesn't show up in any of the guidebooks that just me and my wife would like to do. The center of gravity is moving from the search world
That's
and the
right.
apps world into the LLM world. And is it going to still be this conversational English language chat interface that we're
Yep.
starting to get the hang of, or
It absolutely
already
100
expertly? Yeah,
absolutely 100% will continue being this chat I mean, it could be, verbal as opposed to typing,
conversational, right? Yeah.
but it's gonna continue being this type of interface. But the interface will be looking for a lot more than just what your prompt is. It'll be looking for context. So understand prompt engineering, everybody knows what prompt engineering is. Context engineering goes hand in hand with prompt engineering and basically gives the LLM the context of what you want to talk about. So when you're talking to your LLM about all the things you like to do in Utah and, rock climbing, hiking, this and that and this, and then you say, find me a couple of hotels in Salt Lake City. Okay, now it'll open up Google Maps inside of ChatGPT. It'll find a few. You're like, hey, that hotel looks good. Let me go ahead and book there, and it'll book it for you.
Yeah.
So, now this is what's happening.
Okay. Yeah, it's really interesting. And, what I've always loved about you, Vincent, you're 2 steps into the future. You're seeing what's happening this week. You're not just, either naive or all about the hype, right? You're very practical about this, and you live in the day-to-day, and you've helped, 200 companies build real apps that make a difference. So I love how you go back and forth, and it's something I know you help a lot of, founders with, and you led an amazing discussion, there. Should we be getting to the point where, like, we do this manually using our prompts and our prompts engineering get prompt better, and we're kind of doing the step by step to build those, great blogs ourselves, and then we kind of set it up in an agent, so there's work to create that employee and the guardrails and the quality levels and the double checking and so forth. Should we be, is the eventual state as human in the loop? If you were good enough setting up your agents, you don't need human in the loop. You've configured the human in the loop. The employee can do it, on their own without you watching.
Not yet. No, not
Not
quite
yet.
yet. Yeah,
Okay.
I highly, highly recommend human in the loop for almost everything at this
Okay.
point,
Yeah.
right?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for that. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. But okay. But 2 years from now, are we just going to be doing more powerful things that are more complicated with agents and all of this technology, and we'll need more sophisticated humans in the loop, or what do you think? Yeah.
I think that number one, well, not I think I know for sure. Number one, we're going to be doing a lot more complicated stuff that's going to require less humans in the loop. But it's a good point, though, Greg, that the future human in the loops 2-3 years from now, they're going to have to be retrained on how to manage agents. You're going to have several agents working at once. So it's a whole new way of managing it. Let me put it like this. I built Serpico.ai 100% agentic coding. Now,
With
I'm a
a
coder.
website at Serpico.ai, right?
That's right. Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Now, I'm a coder, Greg, and I could build that without coding. With coding. But I said to myself, I want to do this 100% using vibe coding to prove that you can create a simple website doing this. And so when I'm using the agentic coding, sometimes it'll take 4, 5, 10, 15 minutes for it to do something. Okay. During that time, I just sit and watch it or do something else. Okay. I remember my wife came in. She goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm coding my website." And she says, "You're just sitting there." I go, "No, it's right over there." And she goes, "Oh."
My people do it,
And
yes.
right. Yeah, right. Exactly. So, okay. What I should have been doing is running 5 different agentic workflows at once. So I'm doing my website, and maybe I'm doing Greg's website, and maybe I'm doing ABC's software, or maybe I'm doing XYD software, and now I'm managing all of them at once using agentic and vibe coding.
Okay. And how much human in the loop was there with that? Like, you said, I want a website, I need to be this color, I want these sections, it needs to be this, go out and review my videos and see my tone and my topics, and this is the call to action. You did that with a prompt, right?
Yep.
And then you get a result, and then you change it around. How about more of this and less of that? You did that back and forth, but did you ever jump into the HTML and change things? Or,
100% vibe coded.
oh,
100% vibe coded. Yes. So my point is that if you look at Serpico.ai, it's a simple marketing site. Anybody who's listening to this can do it. Anybody.
yeah.
If you're a good manager also.
This podcast is sponsored by my friends at Cypress Growth Capital. At some point in your growth, you'll know you could grow faster with some outside funding, but selling a part of your company to VCs would change your whole game. And we know that's the most expensive growth capital on the planet. That's why so many practical SaaS founders I know have partnered with Cypress Growth Capital when they hit that predictable growth inflection point. For 15 years, Cypress has provided non-dilutive growth funding to bootstrap SaaS founders, including 6 successful founders I've interviewed here on this podcast. Cypress provides enough patient capital for you to invest in your growth without giving up any of your precious equity. They leverage their entrepreneurial and operational experience to provide savvy strategic guidance to help you grow efficiently and build your valuable software company faster. Go to cypressgrowthcapital.com/practical to learn more and set up a time with Cliff Centel to see if there's a fit. Now back to our program. Yeah. So, and this is one of the things we talked about a lot at the summit, which is this is still, let's say, frontier technology. And when you say, look what I did with Serpico.ai, and I didn't touch any code myself, even though I'm a coder, and I did it with, speaking English to these LLMs. It's not like you just said, build me a website and make it at Serpico. No, you have to be a great manager. You have to think through what you want. You have to be very specific. You have to remind it and teach it and nudge it and do it again. And just like training and a kind of a 3-year-old
the tricks of
employee.
the trade. You know, the more you use this, the more you understand the tricks of the trade and how to do it.
That's right. It's not just creating prompts, it's prompts engineering, right? You're speaking to it in the right language. You're guiding this agentic employee to do that. And, we did talk about the frontier, which is you said all you need to do is spend 3-4 hours a day playing with these tools, keeping up with what's new, trying the different ones because they're all different. You say something different in each LLM, Claude and Gemini and Grok and ChatGPT, they'll all do slightly different things and they keep changing. They'll do something different tomorrow, like a darn employee. It's quite intimidating to founders to say, it's all changing. And the level to get the website that you did it yourself without coding took some sophistication to get there, some learning for you to be able to use these tools in the right way. So, which means like your average, Accenture employee is probably not going to spend their days and nights and weekends figuring out how they can change how they think about everything in their business.
No, that's true. That is that is definitely true.
So we all kind of concluded if we are in the game and playing with this, we're ahead of most of the crowd. We're probably behind Silicon Valley. The people are doing this 19 hours a day, but we're ahead of 90% of Americans who really couldn't make a great prompt enough to create a website doing that.
It's not only that, though, but, I look at this as the greatest arbitrage period you'll ever have in business, because there are a lot of folks out there who either A, have not taken the time to learn how to use AI, or B, even better for your competitors, is that they don't want to use AI. There are folks, I know advertising agencies are saying there is no place for AI in my advertising agency. Okay, well, you can buy them out of bankruptcy if you want, but this is a great period. I saw it called the Great Arbitrage.
Yeah, and then there was the common questions about the threats that are coming and the change that is coming, and can the 3 engineers build everything, and we've taken 5 years to build very quickly. But we all kind of ended up optimistically, no, our product savvy, our customer, our momentum, our data, gives us an advantage to do amazing things, and we don't need funding to do it. It's literally it's a great, opportunity for practical founders who have more smarts than, money to spend on all this stuff, cash to spend.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
So, what does a practical founder do right now? What can a practical founder do right now? Okay, well, there are several things that you can do right now. Yes, things are changing. Yes, we're moving towards a linguistic user interface. Yes, you got to check out what OpenAI released on Dev Day because it will influence your business. But you don't have to close down your shop and throw away your software. There's a lot of things you can do right now. Simple things you can do right now is everybody uses SEO, right? Are you using GEO? Are you using other methods to be discovered? If you're not, get that onto your website. Number 2 is
GEO, just for people who may not know the term.
Generative engine optimization.
Right. So when you ask a question in ChatGPT, you show up there, just like Google.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. It'll do the search. And right. It'll use GEO instead of SEO.
Okay, that's
But
great.
another thing you can do right now is you're gonna want to be in the new ChatGPT apps. Okay. So very soon, ChatGPT will allow apps to be developed and integrated directly inside of ChatGPT, and that means commerce, the ability to order products and services through ChatGPT. It's coming. It's you see the bones of it are there right now if you open up ChatGPT. So I would say expose your data via MCP servers. Do that right away. Start building agentic workflows immediately for things that you do internally. You can think of something, and if you can't talk to me, I'll think of something for you. And finally, think about seriously building an app in ChatGPT. It just launched. You want to be on the forefront of this stuff.
Yeah, we really appreciate that. I'm not building software anymore, but I'm using AI, and every day I'm turning over something and saying, can I do this better, faster with AI? Not everything, right? I still write and speak, and the podcast here, there's a human element to the peer groups and everything, but a lot of things that I had to do myself the long way, I can get done a lot faster. I'm turning into a super powered, entrepreneur. You talked about vibe coding several times. Why don't you just, we'll back up and explain what vibe coding is. It sounds a little too good to be true. And can you vibe code every kind of application? What is it? Where's it going?
Sure. So, vibe coding is using natural language as well as context in order to create applications. I will give you an extreme example of vibe coding, and that is when I believe it was Claude 4.5 recently came out. They ran it for 30 hours to create Slack. They wanted to see if they could create Slack, and they ran it for 30 hours, and it did create Slack. I mean,
And is
exactly.
that like they pointed it at Slack and said, create me something,
Well, they wrote a really long prompt
Okay,
and everything and all that
okay,
kind of
so
stuff.
it
Yeah.
took more than 30 hours to write with all the specifications. I need this feature, it needs to work this way, and it needs to have this constraint and these dialog boxes and these options, right? With that specification, you would say.
Right. With that
Uh,
specification,
yeah.
then the agent itself ran for 30 hours straight. And at the end of the 30 hours, it built Slack. And, that is an extreme example. And I wouldn't say that you can do that all the time. But that shows you where things are headed. Okay. It shows you where things are headed. And yes, enterprises are salivating over this because they're saying, wait a minute. I could go ahead and spend a few $1,000s on tokens to go ahead and create an app that can replace this, that, or the other thing and not have to pay the exorbitant fees. Sign me up. Absolutely. So let's talk about an actual use case of vibe coding. I'll go back to Serpico.ai because it's a simple example and easy to understand. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I did with that was I first went to Claude and I said to Claude, I want to build me the bones, the dashboard of my website and give it a whole bunch of information about me and my business and, the consulting and AI coach and all of that. And then it built the dashboard of the website, the UI, and I iterated 5, 6, 7, 8, and I can't remember how many times, but I iterated, no, change this, change this. And there's small little iterations, not huge iterations, but small iterations until I finally got the UI that I liked, the basic UI that I liked. I then took that and I dropped it into Open Router. Okay. If you don't use
So
Open
did you
Router,
so you used English language. Did you give it commands like, I offer these services and I have these kind of proof
oh yeah,
points, have
absolutely.
this
Yeah.
kind of content? Or did you say, I need this menu that the 5 menu, the main nav menu needs to be exactly this and section 1 looks like this with these words and right?
Absolutely not. Not
Yeah.
even close. All I did was give it the context of it. I said, it's got to be professional. It's got to be authentic.
Okay.
Right. Here are, the services that I offer.
I was
And
just using the old example. This is how we speak to coders. I need this menu here. I need this menu
absolutely
here.
not. No,
I need
not
this.
even close.
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
even close. I let it just run. Now, if I don't like it, I say, I like it, but I don't like the overall theme. Just change the theme, you know? So
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
once I got the actual dashboard, then I sent it to Open Router. Okay. Open Router allows you to communicate with multiple LLMs at once. All right. If you haven't used it, you should use it.
And does
Um,
this mean you copied an output of something like the visual or something?
Yeah, right. The visual. Thanks.
Okay.
So I took the visual of the website, it's essentially just bones of it, and I gave it to Open Router, and I ran it through 4 different LLMs. And what I said was, I need you to write detailed specifications for AI to code this application for me. It was a little more complicated than that. But essentially what it said was, I'm looking for specs. And Greg, you've worked in software your entire life. You know what specs are, and you have to have good specs. So I had the 4 LLMs compete against each other to write specs. And
Well,
by the
Open
way,
Router lets you put the one command and, everything up top and then see what Grok does with it and what Claude does. See, like they compete with each other, right? They're not
exactly right.
open
And I
source,
told
not
them
the
they'll
same
be
thing.
competing with each other too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I told them they're competing with each other, and
Look
that's
literally
another
good.
tangent, but that actually works though, and I
Yeah,
can talk about why later. But that actually does work. So I had them compete with each other, iterated. So all right, you're disqualified, you're disqualified, you're disqualified. Boom, you're the winner. Okay, great, got the winner now. Got that spec. Got the dashboard, I got everything. Then I dropped that into Codex. Okay. So Codex is a plugin from OpenAI that goes inside of Cursor, Windsurf, VS Code, GitHub. You can plug it into
like real
anywhere.
development tools,
Yeah, right, exactly. I plugged it into Codex and I gave Codex the entire specification. It worked for about 20, 25 minutes. And when it was done, I had a website. And then from there, it was just small iterations, probably about 40, 50 changes,
Flash this,
but
do
very
that.
small iterations. Now
Yeah.
change this, now change this, now change this, and then publish it. Not a single line of coding. It's just, number one, I know the workflow because I study AI. Number two is I know how to manage people. I've done it a long time. I only use those 2 skills. That's it.
Yeah. And then you took that, and hosted it somewhere, and it spit out what? HTML and images and the whole thing, right?
No, 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 no. It didn't vibe code an HTML site for me. It vibe coded a full-on JavaScript, React Native, Node.js site for me.
Which is an app.
React. What's that?
We would call that an app, right?
Hell yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, I can add whatever I want to it. It is absolutely an app, and that's what it created.
All right. Thanks for that example. Thanks for being literal about what's going on here. Because people hear about, somebody using with these interfaces to English language prompt and create application software from it, right? And we don't need coders anymore, which is, maybe there's a perfect future where it's very easy and works for large companies currently. But this year, almost everybody in the group saying we use one of these vibe coding tools for the business side people, the founders, the product managers, to create prototypes and to explain it to engineers. This is the UI I want. It's already working. I can run it by customers. This is my 7th iteration. I've run it by customers. Go really build what's behind here. That's a practical use that's happening this year.
That's practical use. I also want to point founders, practical founders, to Imagine with Claude. So Imagine with Claude came out. It's ancient now, 8 days ago, and and Imagine with Claude is getting us closer to the linguistic user interface that you and I have chatted about, Greg.
Yeah.
And with Imagine with Claude, what you do is you will give it a prompt. Let's say you want the prompt to be, I want to create an app that will take various financial data from QuickBooks and create a wide variety of reports. And I like to have all those reports in front of me. Well, what Imagine what Claude will do is it'll create that dashboard right there in front of you on the fly, literally on the fly. It doesn't have any software used or any code libraries. It'll create it right on the fly. Then based on what you click on there, it will then, and that's called context, it'll then code on the fly whatever you clicked on. So if I said, I want to see a quarter by quarter comparison of the last 3 years of Founders Workshop, I'll click on that, and then it'll write the code to actually do that and display it to me. Imagine by Claude is an experiment, but it allows you to rapidly prototype use cases and UIs very, very quickly. If you haven't tried it, try it. It'll simply blow you away.
Right. And we as founders, and we're generally frustrated. We say, software could solve so many more problems. It's going to take me so long to build this and so much work to translate what I'm thinking into, I mean, you've done that for vertical founders for years. You know, this was the nightmare,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
I, I,
Yes.
I come from this industry, I have this problem, make this software. And you're like, we need to spend 3 months getting exactly clear before we make all the code behind it, right? For industrial strength software. But you could get a lot closer really quickly and literally validate with customers this or this, and let's get all the feedback and work it out before you do any coding behind there. We have several founders in Practical Founders peer groups that were a little skeptical of this last year, decided to play with Lovable and other apps, and are shipping add-on
Of
apps
course.
for their SaaS products that customers are using and paying for already that didn't take any engineers. So, very specific use cases. They didn't rewrite their entire app there. You say vibe coding and agents, you kind of use them interchangeably, how developers are doing more with less. Tell us about vibe coding, building, let's say, industrial strength, scalable, enterprisey apps these days. Are we there yet?
I think that we are very close to there. I would say we're not there yet. I would say right now, you can vibe code a mid-level application. Yes, I know that Slack was created in 30 hours using Sonnet 4.5. I might be wrong about that. It might be Codex. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But I know it did that. However, I wouldn't bank on that. I would say that will be possible, that future agentic coding applications will be able to create enterprise level apps. I would say within 2 to 3 years. I could be wrong. It could be quicker, but I would say within 2 to 3 years, you should be able to create whatever app you want. Yeah.
Right. And in this revolution, things are moving faster than they did in previous revolutions. The exponential jumps are coming faster. Like,
Well, yeah, you gotta listen, seriously, you gotta jump on. This is not a bubble. Asking if AI is a bubble is like asking if the Industrial Revolution was a bubble. No,
yeah,
it was a whole new economy, guys.
yeah.
It wasn't a bubble, it's a new economy. And so is AI. It's a new economy.
So you're listening to you're talking to founders here, and some technical founders, some business founders with with technical help, and other people getting on the field here in this audience. What can you say to this founder group, the entrepreneurs, if they have on their dev leaders, developers who say, well, I tried AI and it wrote crappy code and got it wrong the first time, right? And I'm not really invested to learn about AI. I'm not twice as productive as I was last year because I'm not using AI tools in the right way. Didn't do the work to figure that out. What do you say to those laggard developers and dev leaders? I mean, it's not all perfect. It's not like you plug it in, it's easy, it's up, the code
Well,
is
nothing
perfect
is,
and
right?
so forth. But what do you say to those,
Sure.
devs these days?
I do hear that a lot. I hear folks saying, it's not giving me what I want, and I'm not doing it. The AI will not do everything right now. It is moving extremely fast, and it does a shit ton right now. But in most cases, when somebody says the AI didn't give me what I want, it's almost like a manager blaming employees for a shitty job. It's like, sometimes a manager needs to take responsibility for the way he manages his employees, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it is about prompt engineering. It is about context engineering, but you got to relearn the way you think. This is not a Google search. If you treat it like a Google search, you're going to get complete crap results. You got to learn prompt engineering. You got to learn context engineering. And if you do, you will be 50 to 80% more productive than what you currently do. And I can help you do that, by the way.
Yeah, that's great. And I know you get very specific with, in specific apps, specific markets that are selling into their technologies, in all of the complications, on the dev side. What exactly is different and makes it more productive when a developer uses AI tools and prompting and other tools? What exactly is it? Are they speaking the language of what the product manager gave of the spec and then getting code and then revising that code and that was faster? Or how does that work? What's happening behind the scenes that actually makes it faster for a
So
developer?
what's making it faster is that the AI is able to make decisions and do things that was never ever ever able to do before generative AI came out. I mean, AI has been out for a while, of course,
Yeah, yeah.
but before generative AI, it just wasn't possible, literally not possible at all to do what it does right now. I mean, even creating a sentiment analysis before large language models came online was still pretty damn hard.
Yeah.
Even with some very sophisticated AIs, it was very, very difficult. But what makes it different now is able to make decisions. So yes, it's able to generate code. But more than that, though, if you give it a goal, it will internally create a plan. Okay. Then it will go ahead and execute the plan, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. It will then check its work. If it has bugs in it, it'll fix the bugs. It'll do all of this in the background and then present it to you. So you have somebody who's literally thinking, all right? It's not conscious. It's not conscious. It doesn't have any intent whatsoever, but it's thinking. It absolutely
And you have to do a lot of coaching, guardrails, double checking to make sure a context,
less and
education.
less and less,
Okay.
less and less and less. A year ago, the answer would have been absolutely, and I wouldn't even recommend it. 6 months ago, I'd say, yeah, it's getting a lot better. You should try this. Now, it's it's really good, and in 6 months from now, what we have today will look like shit. It's just
Okay. Well, and yeah, the flag's up this year for Practical Founders. Last year, not everybody was doing cool things in their business with AI that turned into real results. People are playing with it and seeing, and there's some skeptics. We don't have any skeptics, and there's still a lot of testing and trying, and not everything's perfect. But there's stuff that's coming out that is, we heard it from about half of our founders. We're growing faster, and we're not adding as many employees, at our growth rate, right? So it's pretty amazing what's happening out there. Let's talk about tools, Vincent. We had a lot discussion about this at Summit. There's a explosion of AI-powered tools, AI-first tools for sales, for marketing, for support, for all kinds of functions. How do you think about the tools? Like, a great use case is I want to reduce our support burden. I want to have an AI interface solve 50% of easy customer challenges and questions without talking to somebody. I guess you could go build that yourself, but there's plenty of tools now that offer that for software companies. And which tool do you use is a common question. What do you think about all these tools that are getting created that are AI powered and may, I guess, have some agentic, kind of multi-step workflows in there? Are these going to get consumed by the LLMs, the Borg here in the future? Or should we be playing with these tools ourselves or trying to write them ourselves? How should founders be thinking about?
Yeah. So, there's a couple of things there. First of all, there are some really good tools out there. Even if a tool is nothing more than an LLM wrapper, it could make things more convenient for those who don't know
Sure.
how to use AI very well or stuff like that. But to your point, I do think that a lot of these tools will basically go away for two major reasons. The first reason is that OpenAI, Google, Anthropic, and XAI will all be releasing features within their systems that will essentially do what these tools do. I mean, you got to see what OpenAI released on Dev Day. A lot of folks are, doing memes of N8N and Lindy next to a tombstone. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right. A lot of these will be just simply put out of business because it'll be a new feature inside the LLM. That's number one. And then number two, Greg, it's just you've been through multiple tech revolutions. You know what happens during these revolutions. 90% of the business, right? Yeah, exactly. So I would say that we're probably looking at 95+% of these tools will go out of business. I mean, they can't all survive, right?
Yeah, yeah. So does that mean it sounds like the Wild West, right? Every beginning of a new wave is, experiments and it's imperfect. And if you don't want to play around and figure it out and keep playing around, like you'll wait on the sidelines. What's your advice for founders here is,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
So my
just to
advice
play
is
practically. Yes.
yeah. First of all, find a system that you like. OpenAI, Google, and XAI are not going anywhere. I was about to say Anthropic, but you hear all those rumors about will
Oh,
Apple buy Anthropic, will Amazon buy Anthropic, whatever. But let's assume all four will be around. Okay, all four are going to be around, I think. And I would hitch your wagon to at least one of these for almost everything that you're doing, and not get hung up on too many other tools out there because I think you're going to see a lot of them going away. Now, that being being said, there's so much you can do with these tools. You can vibe code with these tools.
Yeah.
You can build agents with these tools. You can essentially and you can create movies with this tool. You can essentially do what you want. So I would hitch your wagon to one of these, one of those four.
Yeah. And what about, founders, who say, I know that there's results are coming. Greg sees it in the practical founder universe and in practical ways, right? Where we don't have anybody buying into the hype. We're all experimenting, we're all learning, we're finding practical results here. If a founder wants to catch up or they see opportunity, right? They've been playing with something because they need to move faster. Some of the founders have AI coaches, experts from universities come in and work with their company to assess the opportunities and prescribe things and help coach everybody up. Is that a reasonable way to catch up and move faster?
I do. I mean, I do because I do it, so I must believe in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is a good way. So there's a few ways of doing this. Obviously the brute force approach is to spend 3 or 4 hours a day, 7 days a week on this. That'll catch you up.
And we
That's
have
one.
some founders that are doing that.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
know, I
Yeah,
know, and they're
yeah,
doing it, and I think that's a really good. I think that's a really good investment, very good investment. Another thing is get an AI expert to come in there, do the coaching. I would do hands-on workshops. I would do hands-on workshops. Like for instance, let's say you have a whole bunch of employees that you want to start vibe coding. You want them to
yeah,
start doing their own vibe coding. I mean, I love the example of, I gave you this example at the summit of I'm an employee, just a regular employee, and my boss asked me, what's going on with the churn in the Iowa division? I
yeah.
want a report on that. Well, now the employee can vibe code a dashboard for the CEO right on the fly. No IT involved, no lengthy SQL queries, no putting things together. Just vibe code it right there and then. So I would bring in an expert to teach employees what vibe coding is and vibe code a few apps during a day or two, and build some agentic workflows within a day or two. You do, and of course, understanding the basics of prompt engineering and context engineering, but you do that and you're going to elevate your employees tremendously and you're going to get a lot more efficiency.
Right. So one of the things is, well, we had this question, how did you learn coding, without going to school for coding? How did you learn all this about computers, Greg, without going to school for computers? We just started using it. But these days you can
Right.
learn about ChatGPT by asking ChatGPT, right? To
Sure.
help you with a
Yeah.
prompt and so forth. So, but you're saying everybody could move a lot faster and be more empowered. And you can make recommendations about tools and approaches and everything to save them wandering around in the wilderness for a while.
Yeah, I also do monthly briefings, and I can help out with monthly briefings. What's new this month? What should we focus on, et cetera.
Yeah.
So,
And you also had a crowd of our AI experts at Summit gather around you, not just like get us up, into the game, but they're right on the front line as well, saying what's changing, what's fast, which tool do I use for this? Where is it at now? How do I do this? You can help the fast movers as well, I think.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Just get in touch with me. Let's have a chat and see if there's some synergy, right?
Yeah. What does a typical engagement look like? Do you, find some focus and then do the workshop and offer deliverables or provide an assessment? Can somebody say, can you look at our business and give us the 10 most practical, productive opportunities for using AI this year?
Yeah, that's a typical use case. Absolutely. Let's look at a use case of vibe coding. So you've got 10, 12 employees that you want up and running to be able to vibe code so you're not so reliant on third-party software developers and IT. What I would do is I have a discovery call with you for an hour or two, understand more about your business. Before the workshop, I will dig into understanding more about your business and the use case, and I'll prepare a customized workshop for you. We'll spend a day or two in the workshop, and then I'll create a follow-up document for action items and recommended next steps and what to focus on.
Okay. And you've been in the software development game for years, but this is your main focus right now. It's all AI.
This is my main focus because I am just beyond enthused about it.
I could tell.
I see where this is going. I see the massive, massive change I mean, it's a seismic change that we're seeing, and I'm just thrilled to be a part of it. I mean, this is it, Greg. If
This is
if
it.
you're into technology like you and I are, it doesn't get any better than this.
We also had a conversation at Summit about the realities of the change that's going to be happening in the world. and where this is all going and how fast it's moving. And we're realistic about that as well. We're not just completely tech optimists, but there's a lot going on. It's very exciting. Any final thoughts here for practical founders? You could imagine all the levels. Maybe they're technical, non-technical, right there at the front lines of AI, or, feeling like they're behind. What can you say to practical founders out there that can be helpful?
I said to everybody, I say use use the AI as often as possible, really, okay? It's the only way to learn how to use it. Well, that and, having somebody train you. But even after you get trained, if you hire an expert and they do a 2 or 3 day boot camp or speaking event, you're still going to have to use it every single day. So get used to using it every day, not just for business, for
Yeah.
personal stuff too.
Yeah.
You know, walk around with your phone, right? And take a picture of the menu at a restaurant and say, based on everything you know about me, what should I order? Or take a picture of a menu item and say, create an image of this so I know what it looks like. Or make something into a video, or just use it for literally everything, even things you don't need it for. So you start getting experience on how to use it. You'll see how quickly you advance. And then, of
Right.
course, naturally start building your agentic workflows and do some vibe coding and get some experience there. Don't look for a giant, huge project. I mean, this is the same story over and over and over again with anything.
Yeah.
I want to write a book. Well, don't look to write a novel. Write a chapter. You know how it goes. Start small.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Vincent. I really appreciate your help at Practical Founders Summit and sharing some of the practical and exciting thoughts today on the Practical Founders podcast.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me, Greg.
Thanks for watching this week's interview on the Practical Founders podcast. Be sure to like this episode and subscribe to the Practical Founders YouTube channel to keep up with my weekly in-depth interviews with serious software founders who are building valuable software companies without big funding. You can check out my blog, all the podcast episodes, and information about my Practical Founders CEO peer groups at practicalfounders.com, or message me on LinkedIn if you'd like to connect. See you next week.